What's your baseball philosophy? What got you so far?
Just playing hard every day and coming out, and it's just a game that I love to play. So it's always been fairly easy for me to get ready for a game, and just what's got me so far is just continue to get better each and every year by the routines that I do and the levels that you play make you make adjustments, and if you can't make them, obviously you can't continue to go further.
Now, first round draft picks, half of them making the major leagues. A lot of them get passed up by guys drafted like the 50th round. Why does that happen?
Well, I think a lot of the draft has to do with maybe a little bit what they've done in the past, but more about their ceilings and how far somebody thinks they can be or who they can become. And, a lot of things that have to take place in order for you to make it to the big leagues, and a lot of that's the opportunities that someone's given. And I don't want to say necessarily that the guys that get drafted are hungrier, but some guys, if they're high draft picks, get a little comfortable, and baseball might not be their number one priority anymore. That they got a little bit of money in their pocket. But I know for me personally that it's not about necessarily the money per se that I have or that I'm going to make, but it's just about the player that I can become one day, and hopefully be somebody that people remember.
Every major league team brings in more guys for spring training. They have free agents and they draft and they trade, all to take your spot. How do you approach that?
Well, competition is always a good thing in my eyes. Anytime you have another guy that is competing for you and he's doing well, that's going to put more pressure on yourself to either to rise up to the challenge or to just fall away and let him take your job. The way I try to look at it is, I don't necessarily want to worry about what somebody else is doing. I feel like if I can take care of the needs necessary and I worry about myself, that I feel like I could have the talent to overcome a lot of things.
Now, baseball's a grind. It's a lot of failure, and there's a lot of levels. You go up and down the organization, and injuries. Has there ever been a time that you wanted to give up baseball?
Yeah, there's been, I don't want to say a lot of times, but there's been a few times where it's just been very, very tough. And I can remember one instance in particularly, first professional year of baseball, full season anyway. It was my second year. I was in Peoria. It was just brutally cold, struggling, just terrible. And really the first time in my career that I'd ever really had a lot of failure without really anything good happening. I was kind of banged up and a lot of other stuff that was kind of going on as well. And it's just one of those things you just got to make your mind up and say, hey, is this what I want to do? And every baseball player in a locker room has asked themselves that question. Is this for me? Because it is such a grind. This is probably the most, or I don't want to say the most, but this sport you have to deal with failure more than any other sport out there, I feel like. Because it's day in, day and night. If you go 2 for 4, you still fail twice. In a lot of other sports, that's not good. If somebody in basketball, if they miss 2 free throws out of 4, that's not necessarily a good day at the line. Football, you drop 2 passes out of 4, it's not necessarily good. But that's a good night for us. You get 2 hits, or even 1 for 4 with maybe a homer or something, or maybe a game-winning RBI. You're doing your job. Like that's what makes it's so tough, because you're always having to deal, but at the same time it makes it that much more rewarding when you do well.
Now, do you read the scouting reports or Baseball America where they rank you in the organization?
I've taken glimpses out of them. I don't really know as far as where I stand, but I'm not really sure about that.
Does that affect you if your mom and dad call you and say you're...
Baseball, it's kind of like such a vague sport as to know where you're really at with the organization. I've always heard a little comment that people say, once you think that you're in, you're really out, and once you think you're out, you're in. And all that's meaning is, hey, you don't know like where you really are. You could be one injury away from going up to the big leagues, or maybe your name doesn't get called when you think it is. So it's kind of one of those things where the more and more you let that overwhelm you and consume your thoughts, it's going to take away from your play of the field.
How do you handle the umpires?
Every umpire is different. We're all human beings. We all have different personalities. You just try. For myself, I just really try to, let them know that I do want to help them, and I'm not like out there to try to get them. Just as I don't want them, or I don't want to feel like they're out to get me. Because being a catcher, it's just different. You don't have the same leeway necessarily as another position player.
You can build up a relationship though with the umpire, can't you? Or
Yeah,
over the course of a game.
I think it's just like I don't want to say like it's kind of like having a relationship with a female. Kind of like you want to make them feel good about themselves, and at the same time you don't want to let them try to run over you. So you got to know your boundaries, and communication is key with anything, any kind of relationship. If you're a good communicator with the umpires, or they're communicating good with you, the game moves a lot better. And my job behind the plate is to make them look as good as possible, not to make them look bad, and that's what it all boils down to.
How about the fans, people yelling and screaming at you?
I like it. I like going into. I played in the SEC and became very used to that quick. It's just one of those things where it's good to see that other people are passionate about their team. And the same thing for when we go back home and fans are passionate towards us. It makes you feel good about yourself. That's why you play the game, is for the fans. And if nobody really cared, then you wouldn't be seeing people making millions of dollars.
What would you tell a high school kid about professional baseball you learned the hard way that nobody told you about?
Keep your mouth shut and keep your ears open.